Yeah, so I want to go to scripture about this because this is something that I've had to dwell upon a lot. Um, so I'm gonna read it first and then I'll explain more. Um, 2 Corinthians 12, starting at verse 7, and it goes through verse 10. To keep me from becoming conceited, because of these surpassingly great revelations, there was given me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So, me reading that is more pointing to Jesus when it comes to. I want to just start off with the simple conviction of, when it comes to struggling with lust, right? Like I said, when I was in the world, before I was a believer, I didn't know that was as bad. I didn't know that was a sin and how bad it was and how bad it was affecting me. Um, so that breakthrough for me, understanding that it's sin, understanding that I shouldn't be doing this, started with Jesus, right? It started with his word, what he said in his word. Go back to the Old Testament, and even this stuff was said prior, in the Proverbs of Solomon, Proverbs 6, verse 25. It says, "Do not lust in your heart after her beauty, or let her captivate you with her eyes." Right. So there's this constant thing where this is an important thing, and so for me, it's just seeking the Lord, praying to Him, you know, and for me, I've kind of kept this hidden for a long time. Um, but then, the Lord has me going to people and sharing my struggles, right? Not just carrying the burden alone, but, sharing it with people, sharing what I'm going through, having more accountability. Um, I think the things that I used to intake affected me. So the type of music I listen to, the type of movies I watch, the type of shows I watch, the type of YouTube videos I watch, all of that has changed because how sensitive I guess I am to that certain stuff and how much that stuff affects me, right? Because like I feel like more now when it comes to that, when it comes to lust, when it comes to sexual morality, it has more to do with me getting broken down than it does like it just happens instantly, right? So it could be something I see or I see a person, and it's over a matter of time rather than it just being one moment. Um, So I think honestly, just giving it to the Lord, right, for me is what's been getting me through that, submitting to it, and not giving it to those desires, right, by submitting it to the Lord. It talks about in 1 Corinthians 6, it says, flee from sexual immorality, for all other sins a person commits are outside of the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body, right? So this sin, he, the the Lord is saying through Paul, hey, you have to flee from that, right? Because it is something that's really like the passion is strong, the desire for that, and the flesh is strong for that, right? Um, and so there have been times where I've literally ran out the room, or I've had to call somebody just so I don't, I'm I'm not just stuck in that space where I'm alone, and that's where it really stems from is for me is it can stem from it happening being bored. It can be being lonely. It can be it can be out of stress, right? I'll give an example. Even today, I was kind of stressed out and felt like something didn't kind of go my way, and I started to feel that pull to go to that because when I was in the world, when I wasn't a believer, um, and even still as a believer, I would go to it to like think that it would fix my problems. And the thing about it is it never did, right? And so just obeying what the Lord has said, I think um, hearing advice from certain believers has helped me when it comes to it. But I think like Jesus says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness," right? So I'm not doing these things in my own strength. I'm submitting it to the Lord, submitting all of my problems, my issues, not just lust, not just sexual immorality, but my anger, um, my my selfishness. So just when it comes to everything, just giving it to the Lord. So yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not the best person to be going to for this advice, but from how I would say recently, I have done my best to stop doing lustful activities with women outside the sanctity of marriage. But how I view it is that as men, we all have libido. Men and women both, we have libido, which is essentially our life energy, which we can either channel into our sexual pursuits or into a creative pursuit. So how I view it is that our libido is channeled into creation. Now the biological mechanism for creation is sex. Now the main goal for sex are twofold. First, it is for the reproduction of the species to pass on our genetic code to the next generation. Second is to bond both the people who are doing it. So if we consistently go through and sleep with so and so amount of people, what that does is it serves to rather fill our soul, which is a point of having sex with a partner. It destroys our soul because everybody gets a slight attachment to the person they have an illicit relationship with. Now, what I personally believe the best solution to this is essentially finding a purpose greater than that of this world. You should be striving for perfection. The only being that is perfect is God, but humans can still strive to become perfectible or strive to become as close as perfection as they can be. Now, that is done through, in my opinion, a religion and also finding a purpose that will provide the most benefit and leave a legacy for people to remember you by in a positive way, essentially leaving a positive impact. Because I do believe that that's a fundamental reason as to why God put us upon this earth is to leave an impact to bridge the gap between heaven and the earthly realm, because humans serve as that conduit to manifest God's reality here.